Okay.
We'll jump into the Facebook group. How about that?
There you go.
Sharing a group. Profit Control and Freedom.
Preeminence Unleashed. It's funny how little things, like we talked about Keystone Habits, little things kind of change a lot of things almost magically. And at my office, because I'm on the 4th floor, taking the stairs every day and just kind of saying, no, I'm not doing the elevator, became like a thing for some reason. It was like, oh, I don't want to go upstairs and be all sweaty when I get into the office and stuff like that. It's 68 fucking steps.
We're about to go live.
We're about ready to go live.
Yeah, we're streaming. So
it's just so funny how it seems so daunting. And then I'm like, I walked down the stairs and counted them and went, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not taking the elevator anymore.
That's how all things are, right?
Right. They're big until they're not.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
All right, we're live in the group.
Well, good. I'm glad. And I know that we've got a very short time today, and I want to, but it's a very important subject. And it's something I've been thinking about. Obviously, I'm watching, what you're doing online on a daily basis, and this subject, and how the partnership of scale. And you've talked about scale a lot. You've been talking about scale ever since I've known you. And I know what was the system, and now is the velocity method. You work with clients, and you're literally giving them their life back. And it's just, the stories are fantastic, and I cannot help but evangelize on your behalf and Dan's behalf for what you do with the Velocity Method. I think that's thevelocitymethod.com.
Well, masterymode.com is the fastest way.
Masterymode.com. And so, and so I was just thinking that I wanted to kind of have this conversation. You and I have these conversations on Saturday when nobody's listening, and I think that that's maybe a shame.
Yeah, by the way, anybody that is listening either right now live, because we're live in the group, Profit, Control, and Freedom, sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't. But if you listen to a replay or whatever, almost every Saturday, Jeff and I get together and we just jam. And if any of you, obviously if you're in the network, it's wide open invitation. But if you're in the vault, or you are in town, or you are at an impasse and you just need some insight, some perspective, whatever, we have never said no to anybody that said, hey, can I swing by on Saturday and just jam with you guys?
Or can I just call?
Or just call.
Yeah.
Right? So
we did that with Chris Small 2 weeks ago.
So we call that a Velocity Day for our non-members. You get pretty much free pass for anybody, especially if you're in the vault. Come in, we'll jam with you. If you're in the network, you can call, schedule, come in whenever you want. That's the unfair advantage.
It would be inelegant for us to sit here and espouse the impact that has on people. But since we do have a couple that and clients that are really know how to elevate social proof, we might want to incorporate some of their lessons in what we're doing that way. So it's kind of special because you get Nick, who's young but has done so many different things and has owned companies, taking companies into the high 6 and 7 figures, and actually had one that went into the 8 figures. And then I've worked in kind of that I don't know, maybe you want to call it the real world, where we sell things and we have I'm in the business to business space, but I have big customers. I sell dead fish for a living, which is now all proteins, all meat and beef and chicken and pork and turkey and lamb and everybody, as well as seafood. And we work with the people like Cheesecake Factory and BJ's Restaurants and Lazy Dog Cafe and big distributors like Cisco and US Foods and Shamrock and the list is long and I'm very proud of that. So we take this online centric, connection and this just adroit sense of engagement online and development, helping businesses scale, helping businesses get their message right, and incorporate it with kind of real world and real business wisdom and experiences, I guess, that come from from maybe bad choices at times. But it's really special, and I think that anybody that has had the opportunity to come in and work in the office with us has really come away from it with a new insight, a new perspective, and recognizing that they have a support system that is tireless and dedicated to their success. So that's what we do. But and so this was a subject, and like I was saying, Nick talks a lot about and really shows the benefits of scaling properly. And I have 3 questions, and so this is probably going to be short, maybe. But it's the first question is that how does somebody know when they're ready to scale?
So I'm going to start a little bit in front of that, because the first thing you have to do is determine, right? Nobody wins a race they don't want to be in. We say that all the time.
Got it.
You don't have to scale, right? If you're sitting pretty, you love your life, your business provides, you don't have to scale. That's number one. People will come by all the time and say, oh, you're an idiot for not achieving this or achieving that. But achievement is not synonymous with fulfillment, right? So that is the first thing. Now, if you do decide, hey, look, I want a bigger impact. I want to make more money. I want to employ more people. I want to Scrooge McDuck into a pile of coins, right? Then you know, and this is a little abstract. I'm going to do my best here. You know you are ready to scale if it feels like you already have your foot on the gas and there's friction somewhere, right? And what that means is if you're sitting around and you're going, okay, how am I going to get going? How am I going to force this, force creates counterforce kind of thing. If you feel like you need to force it, you are probably not ready to scale. And I think maybe I'll circle back, but I think in answering your other questions, we might hit the reason why.
Okay. I think that, and I just want to kind of add as far as the scale part goes, as far as ready to scale. And I want to kind of put my 2 cents in. If you feel like you're, if what you have to offer is useful and valuable to your customer or client, and that it has an impact on their life, and that you want to do that more. You want to have a greater impact in your universe, right? But you feel like every single time the customer says yes, you've got this thing like, it's not like, cool, this guy said yes, let's go and change some lives. This is like, oh crap.
Yep.
This guy said yes. And now I've got all this stuff to do, because every single time a customer says yes, it seems it seems unique and episodic, and that everything just doesn't have a system or a process to it. And so the word yes gives as much angst as it does excitement for you. Is that a good way of putting that?
Well, that's when I say, and that's actually probably better than what I said. It's when you don't have to force growth, right? You don't have to, because you do help people and you have something people want. You don't have to go like door to door MLM trying to shove somebody's candles down your stepmom's throat, right? It's because people say, wow, that's really helpful. Can you do it for me? And you go, oh, right. So that's the break.
I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when it becomes the big difference, or the conversation that we had one time with Katya actually was, when people say scale, they mean growth, growth is like shoving people in the front end, right?
Right.
Scale is the ability to actually deliver on those promises.
Yes. Right. And what happens when the customer says yes? Is it systematic? Does it have a flow to it, or does it? If 2 customers say yes at the same time, do the gears get jammed?
Yep.
And you really don't have, you really can't move as swiftly and as fluidly as you would if just one at a time. Because when somebody's saying scale, that means it goes from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8, to 16,
Yep.
At the same time. And for me, the business, when Nick and I were talking about this months ago, when I said, hey, I'm going to go from 7 figures to 8 figures in the next 60 days, and I called him back like 8 days later and just said, I just did that. It's if you've got a crap load of money and a support system around you, you can do that for a while. But trust me, that's like a really rad party that you're having fun with. And about 2 months down the road, there's going to be the time to clean it up.
Yep.
and it's going to slow everything down again. And so scale is a science, and that's what we're going to get into just a little bit more here.
Yeah, I got a phone call from a good friend of ours, a client of ours, Steven, LinkedIn, brilliant on LinkedIn. And he said, hey, I'm going to be honest. He's great at sales, by the way. He said, I looked at my conversations and I sabotaged them because I did not want to fulfill.
Yeah.
And that is when you are actually ready to begin the process of scaling, which is not, again, when I say scale, personally, I don't mean shove a bunch more people in the front door necessarily.
Right.
But when you don't have to force it, when you're going, oh, I don't know how to fulfill on this, you're probably ready to start doing the things necessary to increase the capacity.
But I think that this is also, and I'm going to ask the question: can we start to build to scale too early? And I want to say the answer is almost no, because if you start to build the process to scale from the beginning, then you're going to be scaling from the beginning. And it's at that point that any question someone asks, the answer is yes, which is at the very beginning of something. But if you don't have a systematic way of delivering that, then your ability to scale, you're going to have to stop. Like you were talking about scale being growth, and that misconception is, okay, now I need to be able to set this up to scale. You're going to find yourself having to slow down the revenue stream to be able to set your system up.
Yep.
Is that accurate?
It used to be, until the velocity method came around. That's the biggest hang up, right? The biggest hang up is you take somebody like me or you, we're visionaries.
Yep.
We like to go, and we will like run through the wall if we could, And so the biggest hang up is if you ready, fire, aim forever, and let's say you get to 7 figures, and then you go, okay, now I got to build systems to scale. Yeah. You got to stop all that momentum.
Yeah.
And that is you're the one that said it to me. Like, all we know is momentum.
Right.
You kill our momentum and slow it down, and you get in pretty dangerous waters with visionaries. And so the way that we recommend scaling is a process of not forcing growth or just go document everything you've ever done. It is, what is the one limit to growth? I don't want to make this sale because I don't want to do the freaking onboarding process.
Right.
We say, okay, why don't you want to do the onboarding process? And then we streamline, systemize that as fast as possible so that you can maintain your momentum, right?
Right.
And then there's going to be another limit and then another limit. And eventually everything gets built to scale. And anything that doesn't get built, it's okay because it wasn't a limit to scale, right? It can be taken care of later.
Well, and I think that even asks that answers the question that I'm about to ask as well, but kind of framing it, that think about momentum as you're a freight train. And so when we've got momentum, you can put steel barriers out on the tracks and we're going to run right through it. There's nothing stopping us when we've got momentum. But when we stop and we've got to start again, it's like,
yep.
And it's just, it's agonizing. And the fear of this is that, and I felt it, and I'm sure you felt it, and everybody's felt it, when they feel their momentum slowing down, they feel that they're not operating as fast as their customers demand. And that what ends up happening is they will go somewhere else. I always say in jest, hey, if we don't take care of the customer, maybe they'll stop bothering us.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, is that we don't want the customer to stop bothering us. And so we find ourselves now saying, okay, I've got to create systems for scale in the other 12 hours a day after I've done this business and I continue to work at this growth path that I'm at, that I'm just, and now you have to know that you're operating with diminishing returns. And, the worst thing you can say about a restaurant or any business is it's not as good as it used to be. And so, I think that that's the thing, but it sounds like to me that through the velocity method, and I'm sure there's other methods, but the one that we know and the one that you've continued to evolve and refine, and just so many awesome things that are happening between you and Dan, and Dan's, the program, the product that he's actually come up with, that the answer for, is there a time that it's too late to scale? It sounds like the answer is no, but there's kind of a caveat with that.
The answer is no, simply because it's entirely useless. There's not a ton of utility in saying, "Oh, too late."
Right.
But the longer you wait, right, to build these systems and build these operations, or even if we just talk about pushing growth, scale, it goes back to the momentum thing, right? Even with the velocity method, if you're in business for 10 years and then you say, hey, look, I'm ready to scale, I'm ready to build systems, you're still going to have to slow down a little bit. And that's, the very idea that, I've been there actually, right? But the idea that we do so well, some of us do 6-7 figures without even thinking about systems and operations is terrifying.
Right. Right. And by the way, like Nick said early on, look, if you're running the right race and you enjoy your lifestyle, you might operate in a situation where you're never going to need that.
Yeah. But
you're the only one that's making that determination. And I liken that as the frog in boiling water, right? Mm-hmm. You can stick a frog in water and then turn on the pot, and the water will boil, and the frog will continue to adapt until all of a sudden it's too late. And now boiling water, frog's dead. But if you took that frog and you put it into boiling water, it would jump out. Mm-hmm. And so we continue to adapt, and our story changes, and what we tolerate and the things that we will allow to happen, and our ability to serve at the way we served when we were beginning, or maybe, sometime in the past when things were a lot more tenable and manageable. You were creating a greater impact at that point. And like Stephen Covey, but taking time to sharpen the saw. You might feel like, hey, I'm going to lose all this momentum, but nobody's saying that you're going to be going to a dead stop. That this is just that time to be able to continue to sharpen your saw so you can continue to cut down more trees at a pace that you were able to do when you had a sharpened saw.
Yeah, and there's another component that I want to add to that too, because we talk about momentum and speed.
Yep.
You may slow down, right? But that's fine. We got to refocus. That's why we call it the velocity method. You may slow down, but since you're actually moving in a straight line now, you're covering far more ground. Like you're getting, and it's really, really important. When I say slow down, with the velocity method anyway, like you're not going to get to your destination any slower. You're going to get there much quicker. There's just less of this like erratic movement.
Right.
And so there's that as well, that you don't have to come to a complete stop. But if you start measuring distance from goal, it will improve.
Right.
If you're just measuring how fast am I moving, yeah, you might have to slow down a little bit, but that's okay.
which actually is probably serves you a hell of a lot better. It doesn't become kind of a byproduct or some issue that you have that, oh, I had to slow down. It's actually when you scale, your life slows down. You're able to, just like, I guess when you're a hitter in Little League and the ball's coming at you and you're like, oh my God, that ball's coming at me so fast, and it might be coming at you at 40 miles an hour, and, with a good pitcher. And then you get up to high school and maybe 60 or 70 miles an hour. And then you get the major leagues and they're coming at 100 miles an hour, but guys are hitting the ball like crazy. And, they use that term that it just starts to slow down for them, that they're not operating, they're not operating at this feverish pace, and things slow down. And so you're able to make better decisions. You're able to let, the bad pitches go by, and the good pitches, you take a swing at. And I guess Warren Buffett talks about that, right? Being when you slow down, you're able to say no to things that you might not be able to say no to if you're going fast, because you never get a full vision of it.
Yep. Super, super important.
Yeah. But that's,
what else we got? Is there a third question, or is that all three?
That was, can you scale too fast? So let me ask you this, and this is obviously, like we said, this is going to be an abbreviated version, which is not bad. This velocity method, if somebody is in that, hears this and it resonates with them, are there options they have? How can they find out more about velocity?
Best thing to do, because this is the URL we use, and I'm constantly improving the training. If you go to velocityclass.com, I just teach a class how we came up with this method, why it works, and like the three biggest things. There's three major things that if you understand and implement right now, you will immediately become more efficient as an entire company, whether you're by yourself or you have 10 employees. So go to velocityclass.com, it breaks it down, and then there's an opportunity, obviously. It says, hey, look, if you want to talk to me about it, you want to talk to somebody on my team about it, you can schedule a call, and we're super low pressure. And that's the best way. We have a course. Dan built probably the most incredible detailed course I've ever seen, but it was built by a system genius that also is a medical doctor. And so, it is very, very detailed. It's not one of those like, I'm going to peruse this course and get some gold nuggets. It's like a freaking textbook.
If you didn't go to one, you're not going to two, right?
Yeah. And so that's I love the course. Most people do need help walking through it. Just the level of it's really easy to get lost in the detail, but that's, like you want to triple, quadruple your business, then that's what you got to do.
And what if somebody says, hey, I want this, but I don't want to go through a course. I don't want to go through a class. I don't want to do anything. Is there anything they can do? If somebody's a quick start and somebody's like, look, I got money and I need help, and I don't want to dick around with all this stuff.
You can go
give me the fast lane.
velocitycall.com/letter. The word letter. And basically, it's a quick letter that says, this is who we are. This is what we do. If you want to talk, here's the rules. Don't be a scammy MLM. Don't have a weird porn website. Don't have a bunch of weird reviews. And we'll get you set up ASAP.
They're very cool. Very
it's
cool.
Pretty much just like, don't be a spammy weirdo, and just fill this out and we'll get you started.
So you are off for the night to go spend time with the Siberian Husky and African Wolf mixed dogs of yours?
Yeah, the dad is Siberian Husky and the mom is Arctic Wolf.
Arctic Wolf.
Yeah, and
I didn't think wolves were in Africa.
They are savage. Like, they're the sweetest the sweetest dogs ever, but they just like tear each other, like they're trying to rip each other's ears off all day.
Oh, I'm watching them now. It's so funny to watch.
They go
They
straight
even walk by each other and they're ready. It's go time.
It's painful for me to watch because they're trying to rip each other's throat off, and I'm just like, I guess that's how they play.
Yeah,
like,
better you than me.
Yeah, and then they come up and they're sweet. They're like, all right, I'm done.
I'm going back in time. I'm going to the Nixon Library tonight to have David Bach, who came out with the new book, The Latte Factor. And I've got my cards with me, my business cards. He's signing the book, and he's kind of talking about, he's the New York Times bestselling author of the Automatic Millionaire and the Finish Rich series.
Okay, I have the Automatic Millionaire in my library here.
Yeah, and so you got a lot of them in there. Back in 2011 at the Brennan Burchard Experts Academy, I met David Bach. And we actually spoke for probably an hour and a half after the event as well. And it was funny because we were talking, and I gave him my card, and I said, hey, check out the questions on the back of my card. And he looked at them, and I gave him, the kind of the stats. They were the qualifying questions. He's like, oh my God, this is genius. And I go, well, I don't know if it's genius. It just helps me remember them. And he goes, I have like 7 qualifying questions that I ask every one of my prospective clients. I'm like, awesome. He goes, can I put them on the back of my card? Like,
that's awesome.
Sure.
The legendary.
Sure.
I'll
remind him of that. He'll probably, won't remember, but I've spoken to him a couple times, so it'll be great to see him again.
I keep three business cards that I've ever kept.
Oh yeah.
You have yours. I have Michelle Abraham's, that really cool.
Yeah. That
wooden one. And Alistair. You know Alistair?
Yeah.
He had a really cool metal one that was like
oh really?
Engraved. Yeah.
I'm supposed to hook up with him too. Thanks for reminding me.
So
all right. Well, sounds like this is we've come to the end of the podcast. We've been able to do it in less than 30 minutes. So.
Yeah. Let's do this. Let's say because I was actually on a podcast interview today, and he was like, it's like a 600th episode, masterful. And there's 2 components. One, questions from the crowd. Lily Serrano says, when do you know the right time to add a service? That is a very, very, it depends is the answer to that question. Okay, there's the questions from the crowd. And then second, if you follow us Preeminence Unleashed on iTunes and give us a follow, subscribe, that would be awesome, appreciated. And one step further, leave a review. Let us know what you think. Let us know what is helpful. I promise if you go to PreeminenceUnleashed.com and you do leave a little note, or if you leave a review on iTunes and you ask a question or anything, we will respond. We always do. And that's it. Those are the 2 things I had to add.
Fantastic. Hey, that's a great way to close. I think that's wonderful.
Awesome. All right. We're going to stop this live stream and stop recording. That was